Okay, in this video, we're going to learn a second method, method number 2, for simplifying a complex fraction. Okay, let me remind you of the steps of that. To simplify complex fractions using this method, method number 2, step 1 is to multiply the numerator and denominator of the complex fraction by the least common denominator of all of the individual fractions in the top and the bottom. Step 2 is cancel like factors on the top and bottom of the small fractions, and then simplify the entire thing. Okay, so here's our example. We're going to simplify 3 over x plus 4 over y, all divided by the fraction x plus 5 over xy. So the step said we need to multiply the numerator and denominator of this fraction by the common denominator of all the fractions you see here, all the small fractions. So we can see that since this has x, this has y, and this has xy, then xy is the common denominator, because xy divides by itself, x will divide into xy, and y will divide into xy. It's good to write that LCD off to the side. So that instruction further said to multiply the whole fraction, that is the one that's separated, this whole fraction separated by this big division bar right here, this big fraction bar, the top of it by that common denominator, and the bottom of it by that common denominator. Notice, we're really multiplying by a form of 1. See? And when we multiply by 1, anything by 1, we get the same thing. So it'll look different, but it'll have the same value. That's the important thing. That's a very common algebra technique, is to multiply by a form of 1 like this. So now we're going to rewrite this. We're going to write that xy next to each fraction. Okay, I'll put it like that and write the original part in the black that it was. 3 over x, well that's blue, but it doesn't matter. 4 over y, and x plus 5 over xy in the bottom here. Okay, we write out this step here to make sure that we simplify correctly. Okay, we're going to cancel out like factors in the top and the bottom. Remember, each one of these is over 1, so the bottom is 1. xy is in the top. And we're going to get rid of this x and this x, because they're the same factor on the top and the bottom. They divide to the value of 1, so it simplifies, it reduces. This y and this y, same thing. And down here we have an xy and an xy. So the whole least common denominator is eliminated down here on the bottom. And the final answer is what's left. The 3y is here. We don't need to write the 1. Here we have a 4 and an x, so we write 4x. We're just writing, even though the y was first and the x was first here, we write it in a form we're used to, putting the numbers in front. So the top is 3y plus 4x. The bottom is, the only thing left is x plus 5. And this is the final answer because neither top or bottom factors. If it did, we would factor it and double check that there's not another factor that disappears. We did this ahead of time, though, all of this canceling up here, to avoid having to factor, if at all possible. Usually that's the case. So here's your answer.